podcast today. Our topic is web security, and our expert is Anirban, co-founder of Stop the Hacker and web security guru. On the background, we have Alex, XCart Superman, and the operator of webinar platform today. All the questions you have as we go on, please send them to alliance@xcart.com, and we'll do our best to voice as many as we can. And now, Anirban, please continue.
Thanks very much. Hi, everybody. This is Anirban. I'm with StopTheHacker.com. I'm the co-founder and the CTO at Stop the Hacker. Moving on, this particular webinar is going to focus on website security. Why is it important? How does it concern you? What can you do to fix your website, make it stronger against hacking incident, malicious websites getting infected with malicious content? What can you do to prevent all that? We're also going to show you some XCart specific information, followed up with a quick product demo from Stop the Hacker, and we'll open them up for questions and answers. So jumping right into it, we're going to provide a very quick introduction as to what is Stop the Hacker and what is its purpose in life. Stop the Hacker is a very focused security company. Our goal is to answer a very simple question. Is your website infected with malware or not? That's the question that we try to answer. It is very different from answering, can your website be hacked or not? Are you PCI compliant or not? All those are different questions. We focus on answering, is your website infected or not? What we are doing, we are based in San Francisco in the USA. We are partners of various security organizations such as Stop Badware, who form groups of people to help each other understand the malware problem that is on websites and to provide them with free resources so that they can get back on their feet if their website does get blacklisted by search engines like Google, Yahoo, Ask, anyone like that. Our whole focus in life is to protect the reputation of websites. Once your website gets infected with web malware, people do not want to come back to your site and your reputation takes a hit. We want to prevent that. How do we do that? Using our artificial intelligence malware detection mechanism. This is very different from antiviruses. This is a cutting-edge tool to identify unknown or unreported malware like JavaScript, PHP that has been injected onto your site by malicious hackers. We've won multiple awards. We are backed by the National Science Foundation in the US, and we have various partners in many parts of the world. Moving on to the next slide. Let's discuss a little bit, why is web security actually important? What's the big deal? The big deal is that there are billions of web pages now on the internet. A lot of us on a daily basis will go to the internet and browse these pages, get information. So it's a absolutely necessary resource for each one of us. Also, a lot of these websites that are hosting these pages are built on platforms such as WordPress, Joomla, Drupal, and so on and so forth. And the primary reason they are using these platforms is because it cuts down the development time and provides a more standardized structure in terms of building a website. We've also found that geographically speaking, most of the websites are hosted in Europe and the US, but the Asia Pacific region is the most upcoming right now, followed by the fact that there's billions of people on the internet every single day. All these point to the fact that if there is an outbreak of malware on the internet, it affects not just one, not just 10, not just 1,000 people, but millions and millions of web servers. In that same vein, what we find is approximately 30,000 new malicious URLs are found every single day. And most of the malware that gets deposited onto your personal computer or on your servers is actually coming from the internet via spam, via malicious links, via malicious advertisements, pop-up windows, you name it. But most of the malware that is ending up on your PC or on your server is coming from the internet. Moving on to the next point, what does all this information point to? This information points to the fact that we are now facing a war in terms of web-based malware. there are close to 10,000 websites, new websites, that get blacklisted every single day by Google because they have malware on them. That's a huge number, and these are 10,000 new websites that get blacklisted every single day. These websites can be selling t-shirts, these websites can be a blog, these websites can be cooking class websites, whatever it is. They have nothing to do in general with malware, but they get hacked, they get injected with malware, and once that happens, their reputation is destroyed. We've also found in our tests, and also corroborated these tests with other malware teams, that nearly 80% of websites have at least one critical vulnerability that can be exploited to put malware into a website. Also, at any given point of time, if you take any large web hosting company that you are using to host your website, approximately 4 to 5% of their customer base is infected at any point in time. Also, if you take a look at websites throughout the internet, you will find that very, very few of them have any kind of security aspect associated with them. Therefore, we see that the market for website security is very similar to what it was for PC security 15 to 20 years ago, when a lot of people had not yet put antivirus on their PCs, and therefore did not even know that there was a threat to their PCs and to their servers. But slowly the market developed, and now 99.9% of PCs have some kind of antivirus associated with them. That is where this market is also going. So what is the implication of being hacked? Why should you care about it? The reason why we are doing this webinar is to provide some education and share some experiences that we found with our customers, with you all, which is that when your website does get hacked and malware does get injected onto the pages of your website, your visitors, when they visit your website, will get infected. They will get all kinds of trojans, viruses, rootkits, all those things, nasty things on their computer. And as a result, Google and other search engines, Yahoo, Google, Ask, Bing, they will blacklist your website. Whenever somebody searches for a red t-shirt and your website comes up in the search results, there will be a big bold statement underneath your website which will say, please do not visit this website, it may have malware. And somebody who tries to visit your website by putting your website name in a browser, they will see a warning page which says, please do not visit this website, it has malware. So immediately, the traffic to your website will drop, because all browsers, all search engines will block access to your website because your website is distributing malware. That's the problem that we want to help you solve. When a website does get blacklisted, in our tests we found that a website takes nearly 7 to 10 days to get off the blacklist, get back up on its feet, remove the malware. So that's 7 to 10 days of lost revenue. And more importantly, customers will lose the value, customers will lose the trust in your brand. They will never want to come back to your site and buy from you again. Let's talk about a few common methods that hackers use. We're going to go through these quickly and then dive deeper into these and why is this a problem and how can this be solved. So the first one being poor choice of passwords. As we understand that when we are asked to set up a password, you will be surprised to see that a lot of people use passwords like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or admin, or temporary, something of that sort. This is really bad. One easy way to get around this is by using online password generators. You can just go on Google and type in generate password online, generate password, something of that sort, and you can be directed to websites which will provide you with pretty good passwords for free. There's no fee, there's no money exchange, but you can get passwords from these websites for free. What you can also do is make up your own passwords, which is much better. For example, you can choose any phrase in any language. Here's an example: the quick brown fox jumped over something. That's a good start, but let's try to make it stronger. We have uppercase and lowercase letters in that password. Let's try to put in some numbers like the, 1, quick, 2, brown, 3, fox, so on and so forth. How can we make this password better? One way to make this password better is by introducing special characters such as the @sign, the hash or the pound sign, the $sign, the and sign, and so on and so forth. Ultimately, you have to do your own special thing so that you can easily remember this password, but at the same time, it's strong enough so that nobody can actually guess it, and it would take a long time to brute force this particular password. One important thing to keep in mind is please do not use one password for everything, because that is a huge problem. If somebody gets access to your main password, they can predict that you are using the same for your Yahoo account, for your Gmail account, and so on and so forth. Also, to help you, there are password manager programs out there called LastPass and 1Password, which you can get off the internet, which will help you with your password management. Moving on. Another reason for websites getting compromised is insecure FTP connections. FTP stands for File Transfer Protocol, and what this means is a way to communicate from your local computer to your website in order to either upload, download, or exchange any kind of HTML files, images, web pages, documents, anything of that sort. The problem with this FTP protocol is that if there is a Trojan or a virus sitting on your computer, it can identify that you are using FTP to connect to your website and can steal the username and password. And once this virus has the username and password, it can come to your website with malware. Therefore, a better alternative to using FTP is something called SFTP, Secure FTP, or SSH, Secure Shell. And again, you can get programs off the internet for free that will help you use SFTP and SSH to connect to your website. So that's a better alternative. Please try to do that. Moving on. Website application vulnerabilities. What is this all about? Website applications are basically any kind of functionality that you have on a website. For example, your website might have a form where people put in their email address and they will be attached to a newsletter email. There might be a website application on your site where people will interact, click on some graphs, and get some information about what is the weather in a particular part of the world, or what song was most popular during a particular piece of time. They can select using some calendar entries, select the genre of songs, rock, pop, so on and so forth, and then you can provide some information back. That's what's called a web application. When you build these web applications, there can be vulnerabilities in them. Some of the common vulnerabilities that we see in web applications are cross-site scripting, SQL injections, form and blog comment areas being exploited. Cross-site, and I'll go on to the other ones in just a little bit. Cross-site scripting is basically using weakness in the website against the website itself. And what that means is the code that is powering the website does not sanitize input properly. Therefore, malicious hackers can use these weaknesses to either pump in malware into the website or cause people who are coming to that website to see some kind of pop-up box or get redirected to some other site, and so on and so forth. A host of other bad things can happen using cross-site scripting. SQL injection is basically pumping in malware directly into the database. So if you have a WordPress site, for example, somebody can, and you are running an older version of WordPress, or there are vulnerabilities on your WordPress site, somebody can pump in malware inside your title tags, inside your div tags, and so on and so forth. If you are accepting if you're accepting comments on your blog, or you have forms on your website, these also need to be protected, since these can be used to push in malware into your website. There are other issues such as cross-site request forgery, WordPress, Drupal, and Joomla. All the custom code that you write for these architectures and CMSs needs to be vetted very carefully. You need to understand whether there are any security holes in the custom code that you write for each of these platforms. An important point to understand is web application filters, firewalls, such as Snort, are only as good as the signatures that they have. So for example, if you have some kind of a firewall in front of your website, do remember that the firewall can only catch what it knows about. What it cannot catch is what it does not know about. Having a firewall on your website is like having a big guard dog in the front of your house. But hackers can get into your house through the back door, through the FTP connections, and so on and so forth. So it's important to have a firewall, it's important to have web application filters, but it does not solve the problem. Moving on to the next slide. Third-party add-ons. This is a relatively recent problem because of all the CMSs that have gained popularity in the internet today, such as WordPress, frameworks like Drupal, Joomla, Django, so on and so forth. One thing that we'll be discussing over here is a third-party add-on. What is a third-party add-on? A third-party add-on is a piece of code that you can get off the internet, and you can integrate that with your existing CMS, such as WordPress or Joomla or a Drupal installation, anything of that sort. The goal of this third-party add-on is to provide your website with extended functionality or some kind of functionality which you think is cool or which you think will resonate better with your clients or which you think will be appreciated by the visitors to your site. So these third-party add-ons are very useful pieces of code. The problem with these third-party add-ons is the person who has written this piece of code might not have had enough time to understand or audit the code that they have written and find out if there are any security vulnerabilities in that piece of code or not. Or they might have maliciously input malware in the plugin themselves. So there's a couple of problems that with these third-party plugins. Therefore, to prevent this thing from happening, please only download third-party plugins from reputable sources. For example, if we are to talk about WordPress, please find out if before downloading the plugin, whether it's on WordPress's vulnerable list or not. If it is on WordPress's vulnerable list, please do not download it or download a version of the plugin that is not on the vulnerable list. Just remember that if you are going to add in third-party plugins, your website might get infected even though your WordPress version is the latest one or your Joomla version is the latest one. It might be that the plugin is the actual cause. Moving on, up, server-level vulnerabilities. So what are these? We've talked about a couple of problems that websites face. This particular problem is slightly different in the sense that the software that is actually powering your server, so let's say the web server that you are using, whether it's Apache or IIS or Nginx, whatever you are using, that is a portion of the software that is powering your website. The operating system that is powering your website. So there's a couple of pieces of software that are being used to power your website on the server. Some of the problems that can happen if one of these pieces of software is not correctly configured or is outdated or has a vulnerability, some of the problems that can occur are remote file intrusion, where a hacker can actually upload a file onto your server without your knowledge, without your permission. Sometimes what happens is the servers that you are using to host your website, they have operating systems that do not have a lot of patches in place, that are outdated, they are old, and have a lot of vulnerabilities that can be exploited. If a hacker does find that your operating system that is being used to power your server is outdated and can be exploited, they can use this information to get root access to your server. Root access basically means that they will have the highest level of administrator access via which they can infect your site, and not only that, they can use your server to launch spam campaigns, join a bot army, or anything of that sort. So there's a lot of bad things that can happen based on if the bad guys can get root access via operating system problems that they can exploit. There's also some other issues that you need to be careful about, which is if you have some kind of an FTP server running on your system, what that means is there has to be a piece of software that is running on your server which will be listening for FTP connections and so on and so forth, because you are trying to upload files from your local personal computer to your web hosting server. This piece of software that just sits on your server and listens to incoming connections from you, from your PC, from your web designer's PC, this particular piece of software at the FTP server, you have to make sure that it is the latest version and that it is not vulnerable. If this piece of software is vulnerable, again, malicious hackers can use this information to push in malware into your website. Another common problem that we see is old PHP versions. A lot of the websites that in the world, majority of them are powered using PHP and even other software such as ASP, VBScript, so on and so forth. Just make sure that the PHP version that you are using is the latest. With older PHP versions, there are easily available hacking mechanisms that malicious hackers can exploit and can infect your site and take over your site completely. Some of the good rules of thumb that we suggest you can take a look at are, when you run a web server such as Apache, make sure that the web server runs as a separate user on the server. The same goes for the database, to run as a separate user. So there can be two users on the same server, Apache and DBase or MySQL DB or something of that sort. So have two different users. The files that are the actual HTML files or other kind of PHP files, these should be owned by a different user with the appropriate permissions for Apache to serve them over when they are requested by a browser. One important thing that you need to do is definitely stop root access from the SSH level. You cannot let anybody get root access or try to SSH using the root username into the web server. This is easy to do. Please contact your web hosting company about how to do this thing. And there's also very helpful articles on the internet about how to do this for various Linux servers, Windows servers. The second one being, the last one being, please always use sudo. It's a much safer way of getting administrator access and doing things versus using root on the server itself. So these are some of the server level vulnerabilities that we think you should know about and what you can do about them. Moving on to the next point, which is infected PCs. So how can an infected PC actually get your website infected? It's completely different. But the unfortunate truth of the matter is that, yes, your infected PC can actually cause your website to be infected. How does this work? It works in the following manner. If your PC does get infected, there are viruses and trojans that are sitting on your computer, and all they do is listen for any connections you are making from your computer to either your hosting control panel or to your website using FTP or something else. And all these viruses and trojans do is they listen for these connections and then steal the username and password. Once they have the username and password, they will email it out or send it over via some other mechanisms to an automated system, which will then access your website using these credentials and then push in web-based malware, JavaScript, PHP, into your website, thereby infecting your website. And when visitors will visit your website, they will get hit with viruses and trojans and all kinds of bad things. That's the way an infected PC can actually lead to infection of a website itself. Now, one of the things that viruses and trojans do on PCs is to steal the FTP credentials. But that's not all. What they also do is they steal credit card credentials and bank login details. Whenever you try to go and log into your bank account, they will try to listen to what is the username you are using, what is the password that you are using, and sometimes are able to understand or take screenshots of whatever username you are using and passwords you're using. They can even understand the keystrokes that you are making and log those keystrokes. Another thing that infected PCs can be used for is to launch denial of service attacks on websites. Consider the case where if your PC is part of a botnet, a 10,000 strong botnet, where the person who has infected your PC suddenly decides that they want to launch a denial of service attack on a website, for example, CNN.com or something of that sort, they can use your computer to send out information requests or just even launch requests to CNN.com or throw packets at CNN.com. And then CNN.com is suddenly hit with 10,000 PCs asking for the web page of CNN.com, and their servers are under heavy load and they cannot service their real customers. So your PC can actually be used by a malicious hacker to become part of a botnet and launch denial of service attacks on websites. The good news is that there's a lot of good antivirus available on the internet. Some of them are Avira, which is definitely a very good one, AVG, ClamAV, Malwarebytes, and Dr. Web. There's trial versions of all these pieces of software available. Please feel free to install these on your computer. And our recommendation is to definitely use more than one antivirus. No antivirus is perfect. Avira is very good, but no antivirus is perfect. So it is always recommended to have more than one antivirus running on your PC, so that if one antivirus misses out on a piece of virus or Trojan, the other one can catch it. Furthermore, if you are using software such as IIS or Apache, it is always recommended to use some kind of mod security rules and such, or software such as Blue Code, to make sure that the firewalls are in place and you have some kind of protection against inbound attacks from malicious hackers. Moving on, I think we have all seen emails that come in from various sources which say you have been selected to be part of a survey, or you have been selected to be part of some kind of scheme that will give away prizes. Beware of such emails, because most of these emails like this will often contain malware links in them. What you should do is, when an email like this comes to you over the internet and there is a link in that email and it asks you to click that link, you should take your mouse pointer over the button or over the link, but not actually click it. What you can do is, once you take your mouse pointer over that particular link, on the left-hand bottom side or the right-hand bottom side of your browser, you will actually be able to see the target to where you will go if you click on that link. And then you can use your good judgment to understand that if the link says paypal.com and the actual target where you will land says abcd.com, again, on the bottom left or the bottom right of the browser, once you put the mouse pointer on top of that link but don't click it, you can use your good judgment to understand, why is somebody sending me a link which says paypal.com but actually will go to abcd.com when I click it? There's something funny over here. Therefore, you should not click it. Always be careful of the fact that there's a lot of phishing email and spam email that comes into our mailboxes every single day. Phishing is basically an attempt by malicious individuals to send over pages or information or set up web pages on the internet which look like PayPal, which look like Bank of America, which look like Deutsche Bank and any other kind of bank, and then fool users into putting in their username and password, and then using that username and password, go access their bank account and steal the money from their account. This is what's phishing, more or less. Spam is sending email about any kind of thing that you are not really interested in, but people still want to send it to you. So the bottom line being, do not click on any links that you do not recognize or you do not trust. It's better to be skeptical about links. One thing that people should really remember is, any kind of bank, it's very rare that a bank will actually ask for a username and password in an email to you. They do not do this. So if you see an email coming in from some kind of a bank asking you we need your username and password to verify something, do not reply to that. Also, no, you have not won the Nigerian billion-dollar lottery. Some person in Nigeria who has died and has left $1 billion to be distributed to somebody in some other country. Do not fall for those tricks. These are not real. So bottom line being, please be skeptical, be alert. If you do not trust the link completely, do not click on it. Moving on. So the question now becomes that we've seen all these vulnerabilities that can be exploited. We've seen all these issues that are present in the internet, how to be careful about clicking on something and so on and so forth. But what about the various browsers that we all use on a daily basis? There's a couple of very good browsers out there that you can use that come with your PC, that come with your Mac, that come with your Linux computer. One of them being Chrome, Google Chrome. This is a very good browser. It uses a sandboxing model wherein every tab that you open up in Google Chrome has a specific area in memory where it can execute information and code. And it's a very good model from a security perspective. From another point being that Google holds regular competitions where it encourages people to submit bugs and vulnerabilities that they can find, and they get cash from Google for submitting these vulnerabilities. This is a good model because it encourages people to submit issues that they find and not just exploit them and hack people's computers. They can make money in a legal manner. Then at the same time, Google gets to know about all the problems with their browsers, or at least a large number of problems with their browsers, and can distribute patches and fix them really quickly for the benefit of everybody who is using that particular browser. Another one of the very good browsers out there is Firefox. It has a very good code base. It's stable. It's been around for a long time, and it's well tested, and the Firefox community is very active and concerned about security. So that's also a very good browser that you can use. Internet Explorer is probably one of the most popular browsers out there. The only issue with using Internet Explorer is a lot of malicious attackers go for Internet Explorer specific attacks where they will test first, are you using Internet Explorer or not? And if they find that yes, you are using Internet Explorer, they will launch an attack on you. Sometimes when you are using a different kind of browser, the attack might not launch on your side. One thing that you should keep in mind, that there's a lot of these good browsers out there. One thing that you should definitely keep in mind though is do not use an older version of a browser such as Internet Explorer. Internet Explorer 6, 5, 7, anything like that, please stop using it right now. You will get hacked. It's just a question of when, but you will. So do not use old versions of Internet Explorer. Also, please avoid using any old version of a browser in general, such as Opera, Safari, anything of that sort. Try to use the latest versions of Chrome, Firefox, or Internet Explorer, and most of these browsers will inform you when a new version is available, so just upgrade at that point of time. Moving on. Now we're going to move to some specific tips and tricks about how to protect your website and basically your XCart shop and so on and so forth. Since we have talked a little bit in detail, we've talked in detail about why websites get hacked and some mechanisms as to protect yourself, we'll just gloss over a couple of these things. Again, when you're using passwords, please do not store your passwords on your local PC using some kind of client such as FileZilla or something of that sort. Always use some strong passwords, just like we saw, saying 1 quick brown, 2 fox, so on and so forth. If you are using FTP connections, please consider moving to a more secure solution such as SFTP, Secure FTP, SCP, SSH, anything of that sort. And all this is available at most hosting companies across the world. All you need to do is ask your hosting company that, hey, I don't want to use FTP. I want to use SFTP, SSH, anything of that sort. Can you set that up for me? And the answer in most cases will be a yes. It's really easy for hosting companies to set this up for you. Therefore, please try to move to a more secure solution. We've also talked about web application vulnerabilities. But what are some of the steps that you can take to protect yourself from these vulnerabilities? The first one being, whenever you or your web designer or your web developer writes a piece of code to implement some kind of new functionality on your website, whether it is a drop-down menu, whether it is some kind of a newsletter sign up, whether it is some kind of a free offer sign up, so on and so forth, make sure that the web designer or the web developer audits that code and tries to run it through a profiler of some sort and understands, are there any security holes in this piece of code that I have written or not? That is the first step to making sure that your web application vulnerabilities are contained. The second one being, you should always scan your site regularly for vulnerabilities and malware injections. Because even though we all take a lot of precautions to make sure that there are no security holes in our software, in the code that we write, the unfortunate truth is that there will always be some kind of issue. There will always be a security hole somewhere, small or big. And what you can do and what you should do is make sure that you always keep scanning your website to make sure if anything goes wrong, you know about it and you can do something about it. The next one is third-party add-ons. Only install third-party add-ons such as plugins from reputable sources. Go to the WordPress, Joomla, Django list of third-party add-ons and make sure that the reviews are good, that they are legitimate companies or people who are providing these plugins, and then only use them on your website. Also, please make a list of all the third-party plugins you use so that it will be easy for you to understand whether any particular third-party plugin needs to be updated or not, or is out of date or not. Also, you should have some kind of a system where, for example, in WordPress, you can check a box which says auto update. If you have such a feature with the CMS or the framework that you are using for your website, please use it, because people often forget to update their systems and then they get hacked. So if you have an auto update feature, try to use that. It will be beneficial for you. Moving on to server level vulnerabilities, as we discussed in the earlier part of this talk, you can segregate your web server and the contents on your web server under different areas, under different user groups and users. So please feel free to set appropriate permissions on your web server. There's lots of good articles on the internet that will tell you how to set up the right permissions for your web server and so on and so forth, and can help you. When it comes to your PCs, use more than one antivirus to protect your PC, and make sure that you scan your PC multiple times on a single day to make sure that if your PC does have any kind of malware on it, it is caught by some kind of antivirus that is running on your PC. Moving on to the next slide, let's talk a little bit about XCart and XCart related XCart related specific tips. Yeah. So what I wanted to do over here is just go over a couple of points which might be useful to you. One of them being, if any security patches and upgrades are made available by the XCart team, please make sure to always have the latest version and to always put in the latest patches and the upgrades as soon as you get to know about them. Always use strong database passwords. These are very critical because your website will use either MySQL, Postgres, or some kind of other database. And if you do not have a strong database password, it's trivial for a hacker to guess and get into your database and infect your entire entries inside the database itself. So please make sure to use a strong password for your database. Another point being, you need to harden your .htaccess file. What is the .htaccess file? It's basically a small file, a text file that contains entries which tells your web server what to do or how to behave when a browser asks for a specific page on your website. So, for example, one of the entries that can be in your .htaccess file is if an automated bot of some sort tries to access my website to either steal content from the web pages or do something else, you should block them. You can make these entries in the .htaccess file, and you can look them up again on the internet about how to harden your .htaccess file. That's a useful way to do it. You should definitely turn off any file upload features on your server because if you do not have them disabled and there is a vulnerability that can be exploited on your server, people can use the file upload mechanism to upload binaries or something of that sort onto your server and then exploit your shopping cart, your entire website locally. So definitely try to disable file upload features. One thing that you can also try to take a look at, which is very powerful, is two-factor authentication. You can implement that using social login and look at that over the internet. There's lots of pieces of software that can help you do this, but it is very effective. What you can, and as we talked about in the a few slides ago, is file permissions is also something that is very important. You need to make sure that none of your files are set to something like 777, or only when it's needed that you have execute or read or write permissions, only when necessary. So please take a deeper look at your folder permissions and make sure that they are not something like 777. Also, what you can do is limit access to your administrator area by using IPs or geo IP locations. And again, you can do this in your XCaccess file and so on and so forth. And there's good articles on the internet which deal with exactly these kind of things. Of course, you need to have good passwords, and we've mentioned that, so we won't mention it further in this particular slide. Now I'll hand it over to XCart to explain a little bit about some of the specific tips that XCart can provide.
Okay, thank you, Anirban. Well, basically, I should have explained the previous slide. I decided not to interrupt you since you were telling it so fine. It's a tip about the fingerprinting system in XCart. Fingerprinting is the system that creates a collection of MD5 checksums of every file in XCart installation. So if you make such fingerprints regularly, you can check exactly when, okay, here it's back. You can check exactly whether any files in XCart installations were altered and which files were altered and when. So if a hacker inserts a malicious code in any file, you can see that. And if you can see it, you can act on it, you can protect yourself. So it's a good idea to make the fingerprints regularly and compare them to see whether any changes were applied. And that's about it. Please continue, Anirban.
Thank you. Moving on to the next slide, what I wanted to clarify is that there are three groups of technologies that can help you understand whether your website is vulnerable, whether your website can be hacked, whether your website is safe at this point of time or not, and so on and so forth. So let's discuss a little bit about them. The first bucket of technology is malware detection. Why is this important and what does it answer? So malware detection answers, is my website infected or not? Am I hacked or not? Am I infecting my visitors or not? Is my internal data at risk? All these questions are answered by malware detection. Why is it important? It's important because you need to understand whether your website is infected before your website gets blacklisted by either Google or Yahoo or any other major search engine or spam engine or anything of that sort. Furthermore, if your website does get blacklisted, people will not go to your website and buy things from your website again because they have lost trust in your brand, they have lost trust in your website. That's the problem that malware detection tries to solve. There are other technologies out there which do not do what malware detection does. These technologies are vulnerability assessment and reputation monitoring. Vulnerability assessment is very different. It answers the question, can my site get hacked or not? Is my site vulnerable or not? It does not tell you whether there is malware on the site right now, but it does tell you, can your site be hacked? And based on the report that you get, you can take action to fix the problems in your website so that you reduce the chances of someone hacking your website. Another piece of technology in this area is reputation monitoring, which basically says, is your site blacklisted or not? And answers the question, what does somebody see when they look at my website from the internet? Is it on a spam blacklist? Is it on a DNS blacklist? Is it on a malware blacklist? What kind of blacklist is it on? So that's the question that reputation monitoring answers. Reputation monitoring does not tell you where the problem is on your website, where is the malware on your website, but it does give you an idea that there is something wrong, so you should take a deeper look at the problem itself. Moving on. Now we'll do a very quick Stop the Hacker product demo to show how the product actually works in our system. And if I could now switch over to Alex, and he could help us with showing very quickly the browser and so on and so forth. Perfect. So what we are seeing right now is the Stop the Hacker dashboard itself. And in this Stop the Hacker dashboard, what you can see is what an end customer sees, a list of websites on the left-hand side, and there are 4 buckets of technologies: malware, vulnerabilities, reputation, and performance. And these 4 buckets of technologies are used to provide a scan report to our customers. Now, what we are going to do is we are now going to click on Scan History at the very top of the page. And this is the place where any of you can go and basically see what are the various scans that have been done for the list of websites which you have registered with Stop the Hacker. And on this Scan History page itself, you have the ability to sort and find out exactly which scan that you are interested in. If you have 10 websites listed with Stop the Hacker, you can basically search in that little box and find out exactly which scan is it that you are interested for. And we will just put in the name of a specific website over here for demonstration purposes. And we are going to just put in something like CATOQ and search for a specific website. And it happens all on the fly. And we are going to click on any report, let's say November 15th or something of that sort. And once we click on that report, what we'll see is the detailed report for that specific day. And you will see the graphics coming up in just 1 second. And the graphics will show that in the 4 buckets of technology that we have, malware, vulnerability, reputation, and performance, there is something wrong in the website. If we take our mouse pointer over the Actions button in the malware detection quadrant, what you'll see is a pop-up that comes up, and the pop-up will give you information about, would you like to see more details about this malware detection that has happened on this particular website? And when you click the link which says view the details of this malware detection report, then what you can do is see what are the pages that have been scanned on a particular day, and you can get an idea about whether those pages are phishing, whether those pages have malware on them or not, and so on and so forth. You can click on the Click to Expand link to expand the list of sites, the pages that have been scanned, and then you can click on the Click to Expand link again to collapse the entire list itself. What you can also do is mouse over the Actions button and click the Show More link over there. And once you click the Show More link, it basically shows you the entire piece of malware that is on your website. And as you would notice that it's very detailed information. it can drill down to the line number, and it can catch JavaScript, PHP, base64 based malware, Ruby, Perl, any kind of spam shell that is present in your hosting account. We can catch all that, and not only that, we can also remove it automatically for you. Just like an antivirus does on your PC, we can catch malware on the website and then can also remove the malware automatically for you. This concludes the very quick demo for Stop the Hacker. For a more detailed demo, please visit stopthehacker.com, and there are detailed videos available on our site that you can see. And there's more different kinds of videos for different features that we have in our product. So if you're interested, please visit stopthehacker.com and take a look at our videos. Now what we'll do is we'll continue with the remainder of the presentation and go through the remainder of the slides. Thank you, Alex. That was very helpful. Moving on, what we have is the solutions that Stop the Hacker offers is provided in 4 basic chunks: basic level solution, professional level solution, business, and enterprise. These are the various features that you see are present with each one of the solutions. The important ones being, we detect not only previously reported malware, things that we know about, but we can also detect pieces of JavaScript and PHP that have not been reported by anybody. We can do dynamic analysis in real time using our artificial intelligence engine and detect malware that has not been reported, which will not be caught by antivirus engines, which work on signatures and heuristics. Our technology is backed by the National Science Foundation in the United States. It's a completely cloud-based solution. There is nothing for you to install. You do not need to install any kind of software. All you need to do is provide your domain name and your email where you want the alerts to go to. Moving on to the next one. What is it that we are actually scanning and detecting? We are scanning and detecting pieces of code that are in HTML, JavaScript, PHP, iframes, links, redirections, exe files, docs, advertisements, anything basically that makes up a website, a web page. We can identify malware within that, even if it's advertisements, even if it is shockwave files, even if it is JavaScript or PHP. We can identify all that. Very few companies can say that they have this kind of breadth when it comes to malware detection on websites, and Stop the Hacker does. Moving on with the remainder of the presentation, just wanted to let everybody know that we are providing a promotion for XCart customers on Stop the Hacker's website. So if you visit the link at promo.stopthehacker.com/XCart, what you can do is get 2 years for the price of 1 on our business edition, and this is valid till November 30th, end of the week. So if you are interested, please feel free to visit this link. What you will have to do is fill out a form, and one person from our team will get in touch with you and lead you through the process of the entire setup itself. So again, for XCart customers, we are going to do this. For more information, you can visit XCart's blog and Stop the Hacker's blog to get information about security updates, any new updates that XCart is releasing, and so on and so forth. Alex, did you want to have a comment here? Or Michael?
Yes. If you have any questions you want to ask Anirban or us, me and Alex, please send them to alliance@xcart.com. And while we're waiting for the question.
I think we...
While we're waiting for the questions, Anirban, perhaps you can tell some amusing story from your practice as a security expert.
Yeah, I'll have to think about some amusing stories. But yeah, I mean, one thing that we have seen in the past is people who are using, say, any installations like WordPress and so on and so forth. They often go out and find a theme that looks good, that seems cool, and basically seems like, oh, this has a Starry Night theme, this has some other kind of good-looking theme. But please do make sure when you get these themes from the internet that they are from reputable sources. One example that we came across where one of our customers had gone in and got access to a theme and installed it on their WordPress installation and got infected with malware. And it was quite interesting to see that the person who had actually developed the theme did it beautifully, in a sense that not only did they provide a nice looking theme, but they also pre-embedded malware in the theme itself, so that you don't have to have a vulnerability on your website to get infected. As soon as you install the theme, your website is infected, boom. So you don't have to really even do anything and your website can get infected. So please be careful when you install themes or something like that on your website, that you only get them from reputable sources and such.
Well, thank you. Well, apparently we've got no questions to voice, which is rather surprising.
We must have we must have done a brilliant job.
Yes, apparently. Okay, there is one question. Is FileZilla an OK FTP program? How can I be sure it is using SFTP, not storing usernames and passwords for the FTP sites I log into?
Sorry, can you please repeat the question?
The question is about FileZilla FTP client. The question about how to make sure the FileZilla is using SFTP and not storing username and passwords. So it is used in a secure way.
Right. Right. So when you use something like FileZilla, there is an option inside FileZilla, and you can look at it. If you just type in on Google FileZilla SFTP, you will see screenshots, images that show you a checkbox where you can check the box and it will start using SFTP. Before you do so, please ask your web hosting company, and in most cases the answer will be a yes. Just ask your web hosting company that you do support SFTP, right? I can use SFTP, and in most cases the answer will be a yes. Once you get a yes from your web hosting company, you can just check a box in FileZilla, and also there is an option in FileZilla where you can specify that FileZilla should not store your passwords and your usernames on your computer. So if you uncheck that box, it will not store usernames and passwords on your computer via FileZilla itself.
Thank you. Now, Alexei, we have more questions. You mentioned that you shouldn't use all web browsers, but what about jumping on with new technologies or new versions as soon as they get out? Would you be susceptible until there are new updates?
That is a very good point. My personal policy is when a new version comes out of a browser update or so on and so forth, I usually wait for a day or two, unless it's a critical security vulnerability that is being fixed by the update. If that is not the case, then I usually wait for a couple of days and then check up on the update and make sure that no issues have been reported by consumers and by other people, and then I update my personal browser. But if it is a critical security update that is being fixed, then I do go ahead and I update my browser immediately.
Thank you. We have more questions. How do I resist SQL injection attacks? I use FTPs. Is that okay too? Well, I guess main question is about SQL injection.
Right. So to prevent SQL injections, the first thing that you need to do is make sure you have sanitized your code. And what that means is any kind of form that is on your website, say a form that takes in email addresses and puts it or attaches it to newsletters, please make sure that the code which is actually accepting this email sanitizes the input. For example, if you are expecting a@b.com as the email, and somebody puts in a@b.com, semicolon, -1, your code should be able to handle that and understand that the semicolon and the -1 are not legal characters, they should not be there, or something of that sort, and not process that particular email and try to put it in the newsletter database itself. So the first step to protecting yourself against SQL injection is understanding the code that is being used to process the information coming in via these forms, and making sure that they can handle funny characters like semicolons and symbols and so on and so forth.
We have another question. Does core team provide instructions general on how to write the XCart htaccess so it's hardened? Does XCart current version support functionality to limit admin zone access by IP? So it's a question more to me. Yes, if you would write a question to the technical support, they will provide you instruction on how to make a htaccess file for your installation of XCart. The content of htaccess varies depending on actual server configuration. So yes, there are general instructions, and also there can be instructions tailored to your store. And regarding limit admin zone by access by IP, yes, this can be done via htaccess file, and also there is a built-in mechanism in XCart which allows this. For instructions on how this can be done, please send request to the technical support. They will give you instruction. We have another question. You say to not store passwords in the local PC. Where can I store them? What programs can we use?
Right. There's a couple of these password managers that you can use. For example, LastPass, LASTPASS, and 1Password are two programs that you can use to store your passwords. The best mechanism by far is to actually not store passwords even using these programs. What you can do is make up some kind of a scheme. For example, if you go to yahoo.com, you could have a mechanism to generate a password or remember a password for yahoo.com. For example, your password could be Yahoo, and then the quick brown fox with 1s and 2s and some funny characters in it. When you go to google.com, your password could be google.com and then something else after it. So it helps you remember when you go from one website to the other that the beginning of the website name is going to start off with my password, but then after that, it's going to be some random numbers and characters. As I said, it has to be specific to you, whatever you are comfortable with, but the best policy is not to store passwords, but just in case you need to store passwords, please try to use programs like LastPass, LASTPASS, and 1Password, or anything of that sort.
Thank you. And we have next question. Do you recommend purchasing professional mod security over using the free version? We are considering buying the commercial version as we believe it would be more stable and updated on a more regular basis. Yes, that is definitely true, that if you get the professional edition, you will get better support and more frequent updates. So yes, it is definitely recommended to buy the professional edition. A question about the Stop the Hacker. What is the success rate of Stop the Hacker when doing scans for vulnerabilities and fixing issues? Is it the standard 99.9? When it comes to our accuracy rate in identifying malware, it is close to 98.2 to 98.5% accuracy. It's not 99.1. And when we talk about identifying, this is for malware detection. To answer the question, is my website infected or not? That's our accuracy rate. When it comes to identifying vulnerabilities, no solution has anything more than a 60 to 70% accuracy rate. It's very hard
to accurately say by using an automated tool that whether you are completely vulnerable or not. And so, I mean, you can use automated tools to find out that you are vulnerable, or there are a couple of well-known security holes on your website. But if you need to do a deeper analysis, then a manual person is required who understands and knows what they're doing. So our accuracy rate is slightly lower when it comes to understanding whether your website is vulnerable or not, but it is the same case with any other solution out there in the internet. Our malware detection accuracy rate is very, very high. We are very good at that.
Thank you. Next question. What is a safe procedure when giving online access to outside XCart support services such as quality and technical support? We create unique names and passwords for the support providers, but what else should we do? Any chance you will have an XCart special deal on Stop the Hacker Pro? Regarding Stop the Hacker Pro is a question for anyone, and regarding giving access to external personnel, well, the basic idea is you do not trust anyone, including us. Of course, we build the software, we know how it's done, we have our security procedures. Still, if you're giving us access, if you're giving access to anyone, it's a good idea to change password after the access is no longer required. So
right.
You provide access to third party only for the time they need it. After they don't need it, you change all the passwords. Regarding any chance you will have an XCart special deal on Stop the Hacker Pro?
Yes, that is absolutely true. We are having a special deal for XCart customers. If you visit promo.stopthehacker.com, P-R-O-M-O, promo.stopthehacker.com, thank you, /XCart, you can fill out a form, and one of our team will get back to you and help you set up a special account, which is only for XCart members. And it's for 2 years for the price of one, so it's a 50% discount that we're providing for XCart members only.
Thank you. Another question for me. Is the system fingerprinting functionality turned on by default in the setting of XCart current version? Fingerprinting is something you do with push of a button. You push a button, XCart generates a fingerprint. You store several fingerprints, you can compare them one to another. So it's a good idea to take time to schedule it, make it say once a week, and compare with the previous week, see if anything has changed. If you have a larger store which have heavy load, which requires more permanent care, to be carried out more often, you can do it every day, somewhere at night. Next question. Can you explain why XCart fingerprints facility doesn't run an automatic scan against master file daily to detect changes on similar size different software which complete this? Yes, we're currently building a system that will do this. Currently, there is no automated tool that makes this thing. Technical support is working currently to make such system, and stay tuned to our news. We're going to release it soon. Next question, please. If you have a server, which antivirus do you recommend? That's a question for Anubhav.
Right. I think there's quite a few good antiviruses out there. One that you can definitely get is Avira, is a very good one. Malware is another one. You can get AVG. You can get other antiviruses like ClamAV, which is open source community kind of effort. So there's quite a few antiviruses that are out there for which you can get free versions and for which work really well. But Avira is one of the good ones. AVG, ClamAV, Avast, any one of these would be pretty good.
Thank you. Next question, please. When I have a heavily modified XCart, what is the best way to upgrade to the latest version without destroying all the hard work that has been done? Well, it depends. One modification is different from another. That's why such projects, when we do them, are estimated individually. Sometimes it's easier to apply patches, upgrade patches from one version to another to gradually move your software to the latest version. Sometimes it's easier to first install the latest version, then adapt the modifications you made to that new version. So there is no straight answer to that question. It all depends on actual case. Next question, please. I have multiple user groups that use local machines that will be able to access administrative processes. Would it be better to give them passwords by groups or make sure each user has their own password? I have to redo all of this soon and would like an opinion. Anirban, it's a question for you.
Okay, so from a security perspective, I think one good way to do this is if you have 20 people to whom you need to give usernames and passwords, the best way to do this would be to give them 20 usernames and 20 password combinations. Everybody has their individual thing. As soon as they are done, you should totally disable the usernames and passwords. You should not even have the usernames, so delete those usernames from your account. If you cannot do this, then yes, one good way to do this, another reasonable way to do this is give 4 people one group of username and passwords, another 4 people another group of username and passwords. So one username password combo will be used by 4 people. The problem with this approach is if any one of those 4 people does something stupid or funny or malicious, it will be hard to track down who actually did what. So that's one of the drawbacks. But yes, the way you are saying it, you can do it in groups. The best way to do it would be to give them individual username and passwords and then disable the access as soon as they're done.
Thank you. Next question, please. Okay, and we have no more questions. Our webinar was planned for 1 hour and we are already overdue. So it might be a good time to wrap this up. I wish to thank Anirban again for being our expert today. I wish to thank Alex, who made this all possible on the background. And I wish to thank everyone who participated in this webinar today. Thank you for listening to us. And we have one more question. How many websites can you monitor on the business package? I have many different websites that run different programs like XCart, WordPress. Anyone, please.
Yeah, right now the retail pricing is for one domain, but if you have multiple domains, please send us an email at support@stopthehacker.com or visit that page promo.stopthehacker.com/XCart, and we will make sure we give you a deeper discount for multiple websites. You don't have to pay a retail price for each one of the domains. So just get in touch with us and we'll make sure that we get you a big discount.
Thank you. And I believe that was the final question. I wish to thank you all again. Thank you and take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.